magician, a scientist, the Pierpont Morgan of his profession. "So, do you mean that he is a detective?" The New Yorker steadied himself with an effort. Such ignorance was hard to realize, harder still to deal with. "Yes," he said simply, "you could call him that. Just in the same way you could call Napoleon a soldier or Lincoln a statesman. He is a detective, if you like to call him that, the master detective of the world. He has a great house in one of the backwater squares of New York for his office. He has wireless telegraphy, private chemists, a little troop of spies, private telegraph and cable, and agents in every city of the world. If he moves against any gang, they break up. No one can really understand him. Sometimes he seems to be on the side of the law, sometimes on the side of the criminal. He takes just what cases he pleases, and $1 million wouldn't tempt him to touch one he doesn't care about. Watch him go out. They say that you can almost tell the lives of the people he passes from the way they look at him. There isn't a crook here or in the street who doesn't know that if Sanford Quest chose, his career would be ended." The country cousin was impressed at last. With staring eyes and open mouth, he watched the man who had been sitting only a few tables away from them push back the plate on which lay his bill and rise to his feet. One of the chief maitre d's de hotel handed him his straw hat and cane. 2 waiters stood behind his chair. The manager hurried forward to see that the way was clear for him. Yet there was nothing about the appearance of the man himself which seemed to suggest his demanding any of these things. He was a little over medium height, broad-shouldered, but with a body somewhat loosely built. He wore quiet gray clothes, with a black tie, a pearl pin, and a neat colored shirt. His complexion was a little pale, his features well defined, his eyes dark and penetrating, but hidden underneath rather bushy eyebrows. His deportment was quite unassuming, and he left the place as though entirely ignorant of the impression he created. The little cluster of chorus girls looked at him almost with awe. Only one of them ventured to laugh into his face as though anxious to attract his notice. Another dropped her veil significantly as he drew near. The millionaire seemed to become a smaller man as he glanced over his shoulder. The lady who had been recently divorced bent over her plate. A group of noisy young fellows talking together about a stock exchange deal suddenly ceased their clamor of voices as he passed. A man sitting alone with a drawn face deliberately concealed himself behind a newspaper, and an aldermanic-looking gentleman who was entertaining a fluffy-haired young lady from a well-known typing office looked for a moment like an errant schoolboy. None of these people did Sanford Quest seem to see. He passed out to the elevator, tipped the man who sycophantically took him the whole way down without a stop, walked through the crowded hall of the hotel, entered a closed motor car without having exchanged greetings with a soul. Yet there was scarcely a person there who could feel absolutely sure that he had not been noticed. Sanford Quest descended about 10 minutes later before a large and gloomy-looking house in Georgia Square. The neighborhood was, in its way, unique. The roar and hubbub of the city broke like a restless sea only a block or so away. On every side, this square of dark, silent houses seemed to be assailed by the clamor of the encroaching city. For some reason or other, however, it remained a little oasis of old-fashioned buildings, residences, most of them, of a generation passed away. Sanford Quest entered the house with a latchkey. He glanced into 2 of the rooms on the ground floor, in which telegraph and telephone operators sat at their instruments. Then, by means of a small elevator,